You have never experienced the present moment, not once in your entire life. This is due to the physical reality of your anatomy. Your brain is a 3-pound organ locked inside the silent, pitch-black vault of the skull. It has no windows and no direct access to the world outside. It relies entirely on raw electrical signals crawling up your nerve cables. When light hits your retina, it converts into an electrical pulse that most travel through the dark pathways of your nervous system to reach the processing centers in the back of your head. Because your brain depends on these traveling signals, the event you are witnessing is already over by the time the data arrives. Your conscious reality is a historical reconstruction of a moment that has already passed. These biological signals are surprisingly slow. Unlike electrons zipping through a copper wire at nearly the speed of light, the electrical pulses in your nervous system move at a tiny fraction of that pace. Information from different senses also travels at different speeds. Visual data from your eyes and auditory data from your ears move through separate physical pathways, arriving at the brain's processing centers out of sync. If the data from a single event, like someone clapping their hands, reaches your brain at different times and much too late, why do you experience a synchronized reality? To prevent sensory chaos, the brain acts as a master editor. It delays your perception of reality, holding back the early signals until the lagging pieces finally arrive, so it can stitch them together into one cohesive picture. Neuroscientists have measured exactly how long this biological editing takes. Your conscious awareness lags actual physical reality by exactly half a second. David Eagleman explains that the brain collects and heavily edits sensory information before airing it live. It works like a live television broadcast. Networks often air live shows with a built-in delay of a few seconds, giving the producers a buffer to edit out mistakes or bleep inappropriate language before the audience ever gets to watch. Your brain uses this half-second window to perfectly synchronize visual and auditory signals into a single, coherent event. Your conscious experience of the now is a delayed, edited replay of the past. You can see the impact of this lag in professional baseball, specifically the act of hitting a 100-mile-per-hour fastball from a pitcher like Nolan Ryan. A ball covers the 60 feet and 6 inches to home plate in 4/10 of a second. But human consciousness takes 5/10 of a second just to process the visual data. If the batter waited for conscious awareness, the ball would already be in the catcher's mitt. To hit the pitch, a player must swing before they are consciously aware the ball even exists. Unconscious zombie systems in the brain perform the complex physical action of the swing. The conscious mind merely takes the credit for it half a second later. This creates a physical contradiction. If you are permanently trapped half a second in the past, catching a falling object or walking through a room without crashing should be impossible. Jeff Hawkins' thousand brains theory provides the evolutionary solution to this lag. The neocortex is composed of 150,000 repeating structures called cortical columns. Each functions as a tiny automated prediction engine. These columns calculate predicted sensory inputs following motor movements, running ahead of the lagging data to anticipate exactly what you'll feel next. To survive the biological lag, the brain forces the organism to operate on a continuous unconscious simulation of the future. This effectively annihilates the concept of the present. Most people live their entire lives assuming they are in real-time control, never realizing their brain is playing a recording. If you want to keep uncovering these hidden biological truths, make sure to subscribe. Human consciousness is like a tiny stowaway on a transatlantic steamship, falsely believing it is steering the ship, while remaining ignorant of the automated systems churning away beneath their feet. We exist in two timelines. The conscious self watches a delayed broadcast of the past, while an automated biological machine navigates a simulation of the future. If your conscious self is always living in the past, who is actually driving your body right now?